Next article, I believe that's Mr. Bosdet, Article 36, Relief from Parking Requirements.
Just waiting for it to come up, I assume.
Yep.
There we go. We can just skip to the next slide. So yeah, Article 36, relief from parking requirements. We're just looking to incorporate or sort of formalize so 6 criteria for the evaluation of requests for relief from parking requirements that we've been using as sort of our informal criteria since I believe June 2016. Next slide, please. So of the 6, the first one would be a documentation for parking studies and or transportation industry publications that show parking ratios required in the zoning bylaw for the proposed use do not align with the current industry standards. So if it's just not, if the applicant feels that it's not appropriate, the current zoning bylaw is not appropriate for the industry and the use, that the volume of parking needed isn't appropriate, they could use a study from the transportation industry to express that disagreement. Next slide, please. How the proposed use is beneficial or contributes to other businesses, village center, and neighborhood. Again, it could be just that the business or whoever the applicant is feels that the parking requirement is such that it wouldn't necessarily impact the village centers, and given timing of events or whatever the applicant may be bringing. And then the distance and availability of on-street parking, public parking facilities, and alternative transportation. Again, if you've been at any planning board thing where relief from parking comes up, distance and availability of on-street parking and public parking facilities, this is something we discuss every time, at least as long as I've been on the planning board. So again, this is just sort of formalizing some of these. Next slide, please. Fourth one is the intensity of the use and the number of employees required. Again, looking at a business and saying that it's not going to require a large number of employees, or it's an off hours type business. So we just look at how the intensity of use would impact the need for parking. And then the fifth is looking at alternative provisions for off-street or off-site parking for employees. Again, if the applicant can come up with a alternative means of bringing in employees, we would definitely want to look into that and hear about that. And the sixth is the availability for convenient bicycle parking. That's another thing I'm sure if you've been at any of the planning board meetings, you've heard brought up a lot, is just looking for bicycle access, bicycle parking, and making that available. Next slide, please. Oh, there it is. Yep. These 6 criteria have been used by the planning board since June 2016. A method of this is just, again, a method of establishing a more deliberate process for evaluating and granting parking relief, and is used when providing recommendation to the ZBA for that relief. Next slide, please. I think I said this sort of. So again, just to provide more information based on the request, and again to incorporate alternative transportation options into the project, which is tying back to Envision Concord. Again, always looking for alternative, more sustainable means of transportation as opposed to using car and large swaths of parking. Next slide, please. Any questions or comments?
Thank you. Give people a moment to raise hands. If you have a question, please click the raise hand button. But I'm not seeing any so far, so we'll give Chris, a chance to open up the next article, please, while we're waiting. All right, seeing no questions for Article 36.